Hello and welcome to the Golden Wheel Tavern. It's so good to see you all again. It warms my heart every time to see the familiar faces and the new faces. We appreciate every single one of you every time you show up. Now, to the new people, you won't see anything different. To the old people, this episode's going to be different than our usual format. First of all, there's no drink, so there's no bartender today.
I'm right here.
Oh no, they're here! So there's going to be no drink for today.
Because it's late at night, I work early in the morning, and it's St. Patrick's Day, so we're just honoring that by not drinking.
They won't know what day it is when we record this.
No, they won't.
That's a callback to the cold open, which you can get if you subscribe to Patreon at patreon.com/thetavernkeepsguide.
I think we should
for $5 a month.
We should release this episode on Halloween.
Then we'd have to record another episode, like tomorrow or something, which doesn't work logistically. So no, this episode is not being released on Halloween.
Spoil sport.
This is not the Halloween episode.
Spoil sport.
Yeah, okay. Anyways, speaking of cold open, this episode, we're going to be doing something a bit different. We're going to be doing an exercise in creativity.
Squats.
And burpees.
Mental squats and burpees.
In the form of brainstorming a campaign. And the topic we chose, you can hear our decision-making process by also getting the cold open, which you can get by going to patreon.com/thetavernkeepsguide and subscribing at $5 a month or higher. Of course, you know, if you want to support us other ways, you can go to our various social medias. We're basically everywhere at either The Tavern Keep or The Tavern Keeps Guide. You can tell it's us because we'll have the logo and we'll have tweets announcing new episodes coming out, or posts, or toots, as they're called on Mastodon. Anyways,
thanks,
support
Vector.
us wherever you can. We really appreciate it. But I'm going to pivot to our Tales from the Tavern's tables. Now, we have a couple different tales we could tell today. We could tell the tall tale of cowboys riding across the hard lands. Or we could tell the tale of us plunging into the shadowy depths of a strange land.
Or I can tell the tale of please don't die, guys.
Please don't die.
Please just decide what you're all doing in combat together and don't split decisions.
Or we could tell the tale of a reality warper forcing us to play Dungeons and Dragons. But we'll eventually cover all that. So if you enjoy our Tales from the Tavern tables, we'll eventually get to those.
That's what, 4 different tales?
Yeah, 4 different tales.
I see a D4 right there.
Oh, D4? D4s are so difficult to pick up.
Couldn't be me.
1.
That is cowboys.
Cowboys venturing across a hard land.
Yeah, that was the first thing you mentioned, so that's 1.
So, this will be a slight sneak peek for a future episode we might do. But the bartender and I played another 2-player TTRPG.
Cowboys with big hearts.
Cowboys with big hearts. These cowboys have not very big guns, but very big hearts.
Due to some medical issues.
They all have heart disease that causes some form of itis. Whether that's myocarditis or like endocarditis or some sort of carditis. So their heart is swollen.
Yeah, they're cowboys, they got big hearts.
So, the main mechanic of the game, like a lot of 2-player TTRPGs, it's actually a lot of storytelling with a little bit of rules attached onto it. It's resource management because you essentially have 3 50-50 chances. A 100% guaranteed, and then a sacrifice yourself for 100% guaranteed to do any sort of challenge. Any sort of challenge, also called a knot, is going to be present whenever your cowboy with late-stage heart disease tries to do anything remotely stressful.
If it's something that you don't think a 90-year-old could do, then it's gonna be a knot.
And knots are resolved by either using up one of your 3 medications, or your keepsake, or your final death resource. The medicines all work in a similar way. You can use it. It treats one of the 3 diseases. There are 6 characters and there are 3 diseases. And each character has one of the 3 diseases. And certain medicines treat certain diseases. And the main thing is when you spend a medicine, you flip a coin. If you're successful, which is heads, your condition is dealt with for the moment, so you can do the stressful thing. If you get tails, the side effects kick in, and it's like, if it's tiredness, you are in the corner in a stupor, unable to really do anything. Yeah. If it's like difficulty breathing, you are wheezing and coughing and doubled over and barely able to stand.
But we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves just talking about mechanics here.
Yeah.
What you want to know about is what happened.
So, the Death Brothers rode into town and committed a terrible crime, and we had to go right that wrong.
Stole a man's hat.
He stole Shaft Glover's hat. Yes, they burned down the bank and stole the orphanage.
That's the order they did those things in.
They robbed the orphanage and burned down the bank. We don't care about that.
They stole a man with no legs hat.
Shaft Glover ain't got no legs, and they stole his hat. So our 2 characters, an old-timer and a revolveress,
yes,
decided they were going to right this wrong and rode out into the west to go take this man's hat back from the Death Brothers.
They did unfortunately have to steal a horse.
We had to steal 2 horses, which is against the cowboy code.
But there are lengths you have to go to get a man's hat back.
Yeah, man's hat back. And it was this really fun thing of, like, one of us would, like, pick... There are essentially 3 chapters and everyone gets a story in each chapter. Or 3 acts and everybody gets a story in, like, a chapter in each act. And the thing is you select the title of the chapter and the rest of the players essentially build the chapter for you based on that title.
Yeah.
And it can lead to some interesting moments.
The really interesting one to me was when I picked The Ring and the Whale.
The Ring and the Whale, which was a hint, which was kind of alluding to one of the wrongs you could pick, which was like, there's like a ring that grants immortality that the Death Brothers got from a Leviathan.
Yeah.
But of course, we weren't doing that scenario. So I was like, what am I going to do for The Ring and the Whale in a Western setting?
Yeah, it was wild because you ended up choosing sumo wrestling.
I ended up having us have to go into a saloon that had been changed into, like, imagine Old West, but they took all, like, sorts of Asian culture and whatnot and all mixed it together. And then in the basement was an underground sumo-esque fight club where people would try to challenge the Whale, as he was called.
Yeah.
Who was a professional sumo wrestler brought over from Japan, sort of as like a circus freak show sort of thing. Would challenge him, and they didn't have the traditional rule of if any part of your body other than your feet touches the ground, you're out. It's just who can force the other out of the ring. And the thing is the Whale weighed like 500 pounds, as large sumo wrestlers sometimes do, and would just throw people out of the ring.
Yeah. That had taken me so off guard. I was not expecting that.
Yeah, I was like, oh no, what am I doing for the Whale in the ring? And it just led to this chain of brainstorming, which we'll cover later. But it really, like, if you want to practice improvising, play some 2-player TTRPGs. Especially, like, a lot of newer 2-player TTRPGs do a really good job of passing narrative control back and forth between the players. Mm-hmm. And if you want to practice improv, play some 2-player TTRPGs, play some story-based TTRPGs, and just have some fun with it. Because I think I got some really good experience playing that with you.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm still not over the line. I don't have my barking irons, but these dogs be barking.
With Chet and... Bradley.
Yeah.
Chet Duncan and Bradley Farnsworth.
Yeah.
2 absolute plastered drunk dudes in the bar discussing whether or not Chet Duncan could beat
FDR.
No, not FDR.
Roosevelt.
The other one, yeah. Teddy.
Teddy Roosevelt.
Because they're both Roosevelt. FDR is Roosevelt.
They are?
Yeah, Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
I don't think so.
Anyways, Teddy Roosevelt in a fight, and they say no, and Chet's at one point like shaking his fist. He's like, I may not have my barking iron on me, but these dogs do be barking. So yeah, play some two-player TTRPGs if you want to improve your improv skills in regards to TTRPGs, learn how to pass narrative control back and forth. I think it's a great experience, but we'll cover that more in the secret episode we're hinting at in a future episode.
Okay, so that means it can't be our next episode because you just mentioned that it's a secret episode that we'll be hinting at in a future episode.
Yeah.
So, okay.
But we have to make sure in at least, some future episode we mention two-player TTRPGs.
To hint at the secret episode.
Right, but that'll be probably after we play secret TTRPG that we have downstairs.
That we totally don't know the name of.
Well, that's why, I can't say it out loud or else they would know, which is why I'm saying secret.
I know, I'm just saying that we totally don't know the name of because it's a blind date with a TTRPG, so technically the book hasn't been unwrapped.
Oh, yeah. But when it scanned, it showed the name at the store, and then also I've seen the podcast description of it.
Yeah.
Anyways, on to the Tavern's Talking topic, which is actually going to be us brainstorming a campaign. Because I thought this would be a fun exercise for us, and the listeners could possibly get some fun ideas out of it that they pull for their own stuff at some point.
Yeah, so we have 3 themes for this campaign.
Yep.
Assassination. Nature God Apocalypse.
Yes.
And the 6 Centaurs.
The 6 Centaurs. If you want to know how we ended up at the 6 Centaurs for a theme, get the cold open. Open. Assassination and Nature God Apocalypse are kind of self-explanatory. And we can build off of that. But the 6 Centaurs, I have no idea what that means.
Well, I guess it starts with how do we open?
How do we
campaign.
Open? So, the question is, what's the inciting action? Is the inciting action an assassination? No.
Too easy.
Okay, so is our group of heroes a band of mercenaries?
Isn't every group of adventurers a band of mercenaries?
There we go! We're done. So, let's establish a world, right? Because there has to be a nature god. So I'm going to do what all great DMs do and steal a little bit from a podcast I was listening to today. And they were talking about a nature god. But the nature god, so they specifically mentioned that there's a lot of nature gods that they're like, when you hear nature god, their entire thing is like, civilization is terrible, let nature flourish,
Yeah.
let it bloom and whatnot. But that's kind of lame, right? Instead, they were describing this nature god as like, sweet, solar punk nature god. This nature god was all about showing the world and allowing nature to be what it can be, be as verdant and as beautiful and as blooming as it can be with proper stewardship. So like the temple is surrounded by like this large blooming garden of flowers and like bushes, all well tended, well kept. There's plenty of food and like, plenty of orchards and that kind of stuff. The fruits are all swollen and juicy and succulent, full of vitamins and minerals, because this nature cult is devoted to proper nature stewardship. Essentially, this nature god is the god of park rangers.
Okay.
And I like that idea for a nature god.
Okay.
I think something we could do with the nature god apocalypse is that another nature god is rising up. And that nature god is of the classic nature god variety. The Ravnica Gruul type variety.
Yeah.
That it's like, no, civilization is abomination, return to barbarism. Anyways.
Did you have more to add to what you were saying?
No, I'm throwing an idea out there. You need to brainstorm as well.
Yeah, but you were going off on this idea and I wasn't sure if you had more to your idea before.
Nope, your turn.
Come on.
You can interrupt me at any point during this. That's part of the brainstorming.
I know. Sure.
Okay. So we have two nature gods. A second one rising up in contradiction to the first one.
Mm-hmm. I think, now, hear me out. They should live in peace. And then something disrupt that.
Okay, so they lived in harmony.
Yeah.
So the new god, is it a new nature god that rose up, or have there always been these two nature gods?
I think the barbarism one existed first.
Ooh. So, barbarism one existed. Intelligent stewardship of the land started to increase.
Mm-hmm.
New god rose up. Old nature god starts being forgotten, gets mad about it.
I think they should live in peace until one of them oversteps their bounds.
Okay.
Because where there's a nature god about society bad, there are always freaks who are going to agree and want to go live off in the woods by themselves.
Yeah, if only
that exists nowadays.
If only there was a group in our list of ideas that could possibly, be a group of people that, worship like old nature gods and thought...
Unfortunately, there is no group like that in our list of ideas.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I think one of them oversteps their bounds, and then it's all out war. Like, it's kind of like a tense coworker relationship,
Mm-hmm.
Like, I do my job, you do your job, you mind your business, I'll mind mine.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of them stops minding their own business.
Okay.
And then they're like, okay, now we have an issue, now we have a problem, and I'm not going to HR to fix this. I'm going to the parking lot, and I'll see you out there after work.
Okay, so the new nature stewardship god ends up leading their people in such a way that they end up damaging or otherwise, like, tearing down old growth.
Okay. Which pisses the other one off.
Yes.
And they throw some fists.
Yeah.
No one hears from either of them again.
Okay.
And so now there's no gods taking care of nature, and nature is just free to do as it pleases.
Now, is it that nature is free to do what it pleases, or that nature is dying off?
I don't know.
Because the entire purview of the stewardship god is, hey, take care of nature so it doesn't do what it pleases, but rather drinks water and goes to bed at a reasonable time. Versus the old god wanted nature to do whatever nature was wont to do.
Okay, then I guess, yeah, with no forces encouraging nature to do what it wants to do, or encouraging nature to be responsible, drink its water, go to bed, eat a healthy meal, sleep well.
Yeah.
Nature just dies.
So nature's dying, which is the apocalypse part of the nature god apocalypse. Okay, so we have a nature god apocalypse. We have two schools of nature gods. We have the god of stewardship, the god of animal husbandry and farming, and we have the god of anti-civilization.
Sure.
We have the god of the gruel, if you're a Magic the Gathering nerd. We have Diregraz, the giant mole. We have Ilrag, the raised boar.
Which I imagine, since this is a D&D podcast, absolutely none of our listeners know what the fuck you're talking about, because D&D and Magic the Gathering have never overlapped ever.
Listen, I'm pretty sure I have all those names incorrect. I just know there's a giant mole god and a giant boar god, and there's a third god that has been name dropped in Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica, but we don't really know anything about that god, but they're the old gods of Ravnica.
I think in our campaign there are, hear me out, 6 centaurs.
You're gonna have to give me more than that. I know there's 6 centaurs because I put a little asterisk next to 6 centaurs.
So I think that there's this group of 6 who sees this power vacuum and is looking to fill it.
Ooh, okay. So we have an ambitious 6 centaurs. Ambitious 6 sexy centaurs.
6 equally sexy centaurs. 6 sexy centaurs. 6 equally sexy centaurs.
Now, has a blight stricken these centaurs? So there's 6 sexy 6 centaurs.
No.
Damn.
They're just 6 equally sexy centaurs.
Well, that's redundant.
No, it's not.
All centaurs are sexy.
Yeah, but one of them could be sexier than the others, but it's not.
I'm just saying the sexy is redundant.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyways, so the 6 centaurs are trying to fill the power vacuum. Now, are they trying to fill the power vacuum by themselves ascending? or by creating a new god?
I think they want to ascend themselves.
Okay. So, is this a divvy up the portfolio of the nature gods among the 6 of them? Or are they all secretly vying to be the topmost god?
Both.
Okay.
I think they're pretending to work together despite wanting to be the god.
Okay, fascinating. So they all believe, they all act as though there's room for 6 gods. But nobody wants to be like the god of like beetles.
Right.
Which is weird. Apparently none of them are queer. Because none of them want to be like the god of frogs
Hold on there, man. Hold on. This is Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, but none of them want to be the gods of like frogs and beetles.
But they want to be the gods of other things as well. Not just frogs and beetles. Frogs, beetles, rock sticks. That's pretty queer to me.
Right, but is that too much for one of them to take?
No.
Then why can't all 6 of them?
Not in its mind.
Oh, okay. The issue is all 6 of them want to be the god of rock sticks, frogs, and beetles.
And the god of the rest of it, too.
And the god of the rest of it as well.
Yeah.
I guess the rest of it is also in there.
I think 2 factions form between the 6 centaurs.
Okay.
I think, while they might be 6 equally sexy centaurs, they're probably not 6 equally powerful centaurs.
Okay.
And some of the less powerful ones recognize that and say, well, at least if I can get this one as the top one, I can be a minor god.
Okay.
The minor god of frogs, beetles, rocks, and sticks. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think you have factions, and I think one of these factions calls on a nice little group of adventurers to start killing off the other people in the other faction.
Okay. So that's where the assassinations come in.
Yeah.
So now we have our initial conflict. Our setting is essentially a dying world. You know, see dark sun, see, so many different, stuff. In fact, interestingly enough, with what we've set up, it could be a very urban world, except for certain areas. But in the urban world, there's a lot of attempted but failed solar punk influence. So, there's a lot of, dead garden beds on, rooftops and, dying parks in the middle of cities.
Yeah.
So, that could be fascinating. That's a possibly really fascinating setting, is just a dying world that at one point was very solar punk, plants on top, gardens on top of buildings, and obviously living with nature in the urban environment, but it's all falling apart now. That's a very fascinating setting. So we have that setting. We have the party, which is being contacted by one of the groups?
One of the groups.
Not both of the groups.
No.
Interesting. Now, what's the main dividing ideology between these 2 factions?
I don't think there's a main dividing ideology. I just think it's, hey, we both know that these 2 are the most powerful ones. And I kind of like that one a little bit better. And I think he likes me a little bit too. And so I think if I can get him into power, he will give me power.
Okay, so why don't the top 2 get along?
I don't think they I think there is
No, yes and me here. Why don't the top 2 get along?
You tell me! I've come up with a lot of ideas in the past 5 minutes. It's your turn.
Well, that's why I was asking you for why they don't get along, because I like the idea that the top 2 don't get along.
Then you tell me why they don't get along.
Estranged siblings.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can vibe with that.
Yeah. They're secretly siblings, but they both hold resentment for essentially... So, their parents, separated, got divorced, real sad. Separated, and because they were raised with their respective parents, and because parents are sometimes bad, each parent raised their child to essentially hate the other parent. And therefore they hate their sibling. Because they're like, oh, you lived with mom, that terrible person. Insert reason why their mother's terrible.
I think their parents didn't get divorced, but consider this. Maybe their parents were just awful people who were like, I don't know, your sibling is so much better than you, and constantly putting them up against each other.
I love your yes ending. So parents are divorced? No.
So here's the thing.
Uh-huh.
I don't find divorced parents very compelling.
You didn't have divorced parents.
No, one of them died before they could get divorced. You got the best of both worlds. They divorced and one of them died. Mine died before there could ever be a divorce.
They divorced, stayed together, and acted in such a way that it was obvious they should have divorced, which they did.
Yeah.
But then they had more kids, and they were not compatible. And then they went their separate ways, and then one of them died.
What if we do that? You know? They divorced, went their separate ways, influenced their children, come back together, have 4 more centaur children.
So the 6 centaurs are all a family?
Yes.
Fascinating.
And now that they're back together, there's this instilled rivalry between the 2 eldest that is only encouraged by the parents.
Do the parents get along?
No.
Okay.
The parents don't get along, but they are both horrible people who are like, well, only one of you can be the best sibling.
Taking me back to my childhood, minus the whole best sibling thing. My parents were decent to us kids. They were not decent to each other. Traumatic backstory.
Unlocked.
Anyways, okay, so we have our 6 centaurs. We have the 2 factions. The 2 factions are really, they're trying to just like best each other. Okay.
I would like to add, Mom and Dad are long gone before this story starts.
Yeah.
But they have stuck together out of the familial obligation.
What? Hear me out here. What ideological stances do the 2 older siblings pretend to have and profess to try to justify their I'm so much better than my sibling?
I think one of them's the one that's always beat their sibling at everything. So obviously I'm better than my sibling. That fucker's never beat me at anything. And the other one's just like, well, you see, I'm just such a nice guy that I've let them win at everything. I knew they couldn't handle Mom and Dad's disappointment.
So that wasn't remotely what I was asking, but...
Sounded like what you were asking.
No, what I was asking, like, does brother 1 say, oh, obviously I should be the nature god because I hold the belief that all nature is sacred and should be kept as such, and any harm done to nature is harm to the wildness itself, versus brother 2 is like, no, obviously nature should be incorporated with humanity. Nature is a tool for the benefit of all people, but they only really develop this ideology in order to be in conflict. It's like if your sibling likes something, so you hate it because they like it, but it's developed into full-blown religious ideologies.
Sure. What you said sounds good.
Okay.
You threw out ideologies for each one to have. That sounds good to me, man.
Right. And that does harken back to the 2 nature gods.
Yeah, so
then you have the preservation. What do we call the group of 3 centaurs that care about nature being preserved?
Group A. We can come up with the specific details later.
Okay, Group A. And then Group B.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Where is the party meeting?
So... Well, you know me, I have chronic world building disease.
I know.
So how many hundreds of years ago did the apocalypse begin? No. So the party... Is the party down on their luck in this scenario? Ooh, hear me out. Once again, stealing. Because that's what good D&D, that's what good creative people do. They steal. Cities are, of course, struggling, right? The reason adventurers are so prevalent nowadays isn't because there are monsters out there that need slain and dungeons full of, like, gold. It's because there are monsters out there that might have, like, meat on them or that kind of stuff. and there are dungeons that might contain rations and like the leftovers of like druid magic.
There are dungeons out there that might contain the gold to afford the now through the roof rates of food.
Yeah, so you aren't adventuring for saving the world necessarily anymore. You're adventuring and taking jobs to try to either preserve yourself or the people around you.
Yeah.
Kind of cribbing a little bit from the well and also red markets. The large cities are, or rather any city that still exists is essentially a bastion of nature because it's the few places that druids were able to gather in number enough in order to essentially preserve what little nature they could. Essentially, the only existing cities are expanded druid groves. None of the parties are druids.
So, in my mind, I was kind of thinking this all takes place closer to when the gods die.
Okay.
Like, there's an immediate power vacuum, and these people see an immediate opportunity to seize power.
Okay.
So, stuff is dying. People are realizing, we're gonna have to adventure to get food while we still can, adventure to get money while we still can to afford these now rising costs of food.
I guess I'm creating more post-apocalypse.
Yeah.
Okay, so the things I'm coming for the later campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah. The alternate universe, or if the party gets a TPK, the actual universe campaign. Instead, you want to do nature is dying, but it's not dead yet.
Yeah, it's dying, it's not dead yet. It's maybe been a couple years. Things don't die out that fast. But I think where there's a power vacuum and people who think that they can take that power, it's going to be more immediate than 100 years down the line or however long it takes for...
Okay. So how does the party get involved?
They're contacted by one.
Where?
Yeah, that's what we were trying to brainstorm up before.
Right, but then I came up with the post-apocalypse thing and you shut it down.
You shut it down, I just said, so in my brain, this is what I was picturing. And you said, okay, let's go with that.
Yeah. So, not post-apocalypse, start of the apocalypse. Where would you find adventurers?
Towns.
Right, but what would they be doing?
Really commonly I hear they're drinking.
I don't think we start in a tavern for this one.
I don't think so either.
What about starting mid-adventure? The party is currently on a mission to try to find a source of druidic magic. Source of ancient druidic magic hinted by in certain books. In fact, let's take the party even further back. The party doesn't even know about the 6 centaurs when the campaign starts.
Hell yeah.
They're sent on a mission to go retrieve tomes of druidic magic. And in this starting adventure to go find these tomes of druidic magic to hopefully stave off the incoming death of all nature, they end up encountering one of the centaur siblings.
Hear me out. So I think in this starting adventure where they're searching for the tomes, it's because they've been recruited. They've been recruited by like the local town druid collective or whatever.
Yeah.
They're called.
Circle.
Yeah. To go find these things because there's an important nature holiday coming up. And the circle thinks that if they can get those tomes, maybe they can perform a specific ritual on that holiday to help restore balance or stabilize things.
So, possibly so now we're getting into the MacGuffin, which is going to be certain idols or certain things in order to, upon the spring equinox, when the stars of the gilded tree constellation line up with the ritual sites, they think they can possibly do this ritual and either bring back the gods or instill new gods.
Yes. I don't think bring back the gods or instill new gods. I think right now they're just trying to put a band-aid as they search for a bigger solution.
Okay.
I think they're like, hey, if we can get these things and get this ritual on this holiday, we can stabilize stuff enough here.
Uncovering a bigger secret.
Yeah!
So, the party goes out to find these rituals, these books, this kind of stuff. And in the process, they possibly find a ritual to either bring back the gods or install new gods. And that's when the 6 centaur siblings get involved, because they've been searching for this exact same knowledge.
Yes.
Okay.
What level is the party starting at? Because I'm thinking like 5. So the reason why I say level 5 is because I want them to be a high enough level that a druid circle would come to them and trust them to do this mission.
Yeah.
Right? They have to have some experience under their belts.
They're a little bit established as, like, adventurers or mercenaries.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So they're contacted to go find these books. When they get there, they find more than what they bargained for.
Classic.
Which sets the sights of the 2 factions on them.
They are hired they are hired by Group A to assassinate Group B. Mm-hmm. Group B hires assassins to assassinate them.
Interesting.
Oh, wait, no. So, assassins are hired to assassinate this group that has gotten the knowledge. Then they are hired by Group A to assassinate Group B. Group A says Group B hired the assassins to assassinate them. It is if the party is extremely, smart about it, it is unclear as to whether or not Group A or Group B actually hired the assassins. It's unclear who actually hired them, because these are professional assassins. They don't rat out their hirer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Turns out it was neither of the groups who sent the assassins.
Group A is just being opportunistic.
Yeah.
I like that. I also like the idea that Group A sent the assassins and then realized, oh, these are actual capable mercenaries. We'll just send them after Group B instead. So then there's clear motive for any of the groups to do that. And that gives your players a reason to care, because obviously someone tried to kill them and these centaurs are saying it was those guys.
Yeah.
So, now we have our assassinations.
We have our centaurs.
We have our centaurs, and we have our...
Apocalypse.
So, recap. 2 gods, 2 nature gods, 1 of stewardship, 1 of wild. They get into a fight because followers of the stewardship end up cutting down old growth to try to expand, like orchards or that kind of stuff, and wild gets angry. The 2 fight, destroy each other, and both return to nature. But unfortunately, since there are no nature gods, nature starts deteriorating. The party is hired by their local druid circle in order to go out and collect some tomes from what seems to be a druid grove, but, the druids can't go out because they need to maintain their circle. It's really important, even this early in the apocalypse. If the druids stop being vigilant, there's a chance stuff starts dying almost immediately. So the party goes out, goes to this druid grove. This druid grove, I'm going to say the druids actually wiped each other out. Basically during the fight between the 2 gods, because the druids turned against each other, some of them claiming stewardship, some of them claiming wild, and they wiped each other out. There were a couple that wanted peace between the 2 and tried to document things, figure out what was going on, find a solution, which is when the party ends up stumbling across the works of Elaine Greentooth, suddenly throwing in name characters, a gnomish druid who was working to try to figure out how to possibly bring back the gods. But of course, it's unclear whether the ritual will bring back the gods or install the people doing it onto godhood. Then the party retrieves that. Unfortunately, they are spotted by centaur spies or just animals nearby, because it's druids.
Yeah.
So the animals nearby actually report. A little birdie told him, because then you can make that joke later that they're like, how did you know? And the main centaur of Group A is like, a little birdie told me. And then a birdie flies in and lands on his arm and goes cheep, 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 cheep. He's like, yeah, cheep, 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 cheep. And then the bird flies away.
Okay, continue.
So then the party now has this knowledge that they shouldn't have. The druids before they can get back to the druids they meant to report to, right? The druids that they were sent out by, they're, caught off guard by assassins. It took them like a week or two to get out to the druid grove, so they're able to be intercepted. And it's clear that these assassins are trying to kill them. They don't know why. They don't know who sent them. During the fight, Group A of druids shows up because they have been watching these adventurers and decide to help the adventurers kill these assassins. And then are like, listen, we've been tracking you. Group B sent these assassins after you. Group B may or may not have actually sent the assassins.
Group A may or may not have sent the assassins.
They're just taking advantage of this opportunity. You need to help us kill Group B. Group B is, evil and trying to take over, as trying to wipe out the nature in this land and trying to be like maniacal and whatnot. You must come with us. And then how does Group A try to get the information off of the adventurers?
I think they don't right away.
Okay.
I think they want to build up some level of trust.
Okay.
Because, they just came and saved the adventurers. They have that goodwill that they can cash in on later. I think they might try to get, a little information, oh, what were you guys doing out here? Sort of stuff. They might press a little bit, but back off if they're not getting answers. I think they encourage the group to not give the books to the druid circle back in their town. Because you never know, those guys could be employed by Group B.
True. So some real discord.
Yeah.
Okay, so are there any steps between Group A becoming friends with the party and trying to send the party out to assassinate Group B?
I think they're invited back.
Okay.
They come to our camp, you can rest with us for the night, and we'll help keep you safe, such and forth.
We have the party, we have the main conflict. I just want to know, after they get to Group A, they're sent off to Group B, I presume, at some point?
Yeah. They're told, well, this is what we know about this other group. They're awful people. As far as we know, this is what they want. Please be careful. You can even leave the books here if you want to keep them safe. Now, is this the party goes in, and if they assassinate Group B, Group A rides in behind them and tries to kill them afterwards? Because the party's weakened from fighting Group B? I think this is where the campaign gets a little more open-ended. Yeah.
And it becomes a question of, how does the party handle dealing with Group B?
Yeah. How does the party handle dealing with Group B? How has the party treated Group A? Because I think if the party's been nothing but nice and compliant with Group A is not going to see a reason to kill them. These are handy little guys. They do the things we ask. And once we've ascended to godhood, it'd be helpful to have some handy little guys around.
So I'm seeing 4 possible endings to the campaign. Group A ascends. Group B ascends. The original circle ascends. Or the original circle brings back the old gods. Leaders of Group A and Group B both ascend.
Or the party ascends. Never discount the fact that your party may try to ascend to godhood if you put a book in their hands that says, this is how to ascend to godhood.
This is how to ascend to godhood. Step 1, be 100% druid. The entire party. Fuck.
I think this is a 2-part episode.
Okay.
Our episode's at an hour of recording time already. So I think we hash out, fun NPCs you would throw into this campaign.
So our main campaign idea, 2 gods, both of nature, end up in a feud and die. The party is now in a dying world and has been sent by a druid circle in order to go out and gather information. Upon their arrival, they end up gathering more information than they were sent out to get and possibly end up in worse trouble. A band of centaurs tries to form an allyship with them in order to defeat a second group of centaurs. And depending on how the party goes, either the old gods are brought back, new gods ascend, or new god ascends. Or no gods ascend and the world continues to slowly die.
Yes.
Well, there you go. Let's take that and use it for a campaign.
We'll be back after this episode with another episode about the exact same campaign.
We might be.
Hash out some more details.
Okay.
What the hell did my Google start playing? Champagne by 311.
Fascinating.
Well, let's ask you some questions.
Quid ball! No Max Monster Minute today.
No, because it's 10 p.m.
Oh, shit, it is.
Yeah. Which spell, named after a Greyhawk wizard, establishes real-time mental communication between
Barry's telepathic wand.
Fuck you! Let me finish my question. No
Okay,
point for you.
No, go ahead and read
Next
the question so I can
question.
get the point.
Oh, no point for you. You interrupted me.
Okay. Was I right?
You don't get to know.
Pretty sure it's Rary's telepathic bond. RARY''S.
Who was the first artist to be hired full-time to work on the D&D game?
Ken Atwood.
No.
Damn.
Dave Sutherland.
I maybe should have known that. Let me make a mind check. I'm gonna succeed on this next question.
If you find your soul ripped from your body by the rotating soul gem in a blast of white light, what 1980 module by Alan Hammock are you playing?
What?
If you find your soul ripped from your body by the rotating soul gem in a blast of white light, what 1980 module by Alan Hammock are you playing? Or to phrase it differently, what 1980s D&D module written by Alan Hammock involves potentially finding your soul ripped from your body by a rotating soul gem in a blast of white light?
Module FG3, the Castle of Dwendolin.
No. C2, the Ghost Tower of Inverness.
Ah, I was almost there.
Almost.
Almost.
Oh, I thought you were going to make another check.
Oh, probably not gonna succeed.
Maybe try making a check actually relevant to this game.
Oh, sorry. That's a nat 20.
Okay, let's see. What knight of the British Empire created, among other things, the Bloodhawk, the Grell, and the Hook Horror?
What knight
Yeah.
of the British Empire
Yeah.
created the Grell,
Mm-hmm.
the Bloodhawk,
Uh-huh.
and the Hook Horror?
Yeah.
So it'd be a Sir something.
Correct.
Sir Terry Pratchett.
Sir Ian Livingston, or Livingstone. I don't know how you pronounce his name.
Wow, I'm surprised I didn't succeed that with my nat 20 intelligence check.
Listen, out of the three that were left, I figured that was the one you were most likely to succeed in, given your reading of Dice and Men and other D&D history books.
No mention of him.
Well, I can't read the rest for people that aren't paying.
Speaking of paying us to hear the rest of these questions, if you want to support us financially, you can do so at patreon.com/thetavernkeepsguide. We really appreciate it, and if you spend $5 or more a month, you get the cold open, the cold outro, the extra questions from the quiz bowl, and you get any sort of side diatribes we go on, which will probably be quite a few for this episode. You know, you'll get the director's cut. If you want to support us non-monetarily, you can do so by spreading the word. It really is the best way to support the podcast, to be honest. It's even better than supporting us financially at this point. So, you know, spread the word, tell somebody, share it, you know, follow our social media posts literally almost anywhere. Just like throw a dart at a random board full of social media sites. We're probably on whatever you hit under The Tavern Keep or The Tavern Keep's Guide. So follow us, like us, share our posts, you know, do whatever you can. We really appreciate it because that's what'll help us the most. So go out there and spread the word. We appreciate every one of you. We appreciate every listener. And as always, make sure to tip the barmaids.